La, 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 la. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Big Lash Energy. I'm your host, Jayna Marie. First of all, I just want to give you a little bit of a warning. You're probably going to want to listen to today's episode with your headphones on. It's going to be a cheeky one. We are going to be talking about sex, and there's something that I learned while doing research for this episode that might surprise you. Definitely stick around till the end of this episode because I know it sure had me shook. So, are you ready for this? Go get your headphones on and let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. No. Okay, are you ready for this?
Welcome to Big Lash Energy, dedicated to helping you navigate life's hurdles with your head held high. We're celebrating wins, learning from our losses, and laughing at ourselves along the way. Now here's your favorite hype woman, Jayna Marie.
This is a conversation that needs to be had and something we're often far too shy to talk about. I know the title already gave it away, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of a hint. Maybe I just want a little bit of practice with this, but here we go. Here's your hint. Oh, yes, Daddy, yes. Oh, faking it. We're talking about faking it, okay? Tell me if you can relate. You're with your partner. He's doing absolutely everything you love, and you're feeling it. You're having a fabulous time. Then, bam, you pass a certain threshold and realize, shit, it is so not happening tonight. Maybe you were close, maybe you super weren't, but either way, you know that an orgasm is just not in the cards. So what do? Well, the American Psychological Association says 67%, let's just round up to 70, shall we? 70% of heterosexual women would fake it. Another study reported by CBS News said that 25% of women, 1 in 4, fake it 90% of the time. That's like almost all the time. So I've got to ask, have you ever faked an orgasm? It's okay. You can be honest. This is a safe place. I know you can't see me right now, but I will be the first to raise my hand. Yes, I most definitely have. In fact, okay, I'm pretty sure the only man who's going to listen to this episode is my editor, Tim, and I'm pretty confident none of my exes are listening, so I'm just going to come out and say it. The real truth is I've actually faked it for entire relationships before. Hell, knowing the way men's egos work, I'm pretty sure that even if an ex heard me say that, he'd be like, there's no way she's talking about me. But you know what they say, women fake orgasms and men fake whole relationships, so I don't feel guilty at all. Even Marilyn Monroe admitted to using the fogasm. She's reported as saying, speaking of the Oscars, I would win overwhelmingly if the Academy gave an Oscar for faking orgasms. I've done some of my best acting convincing my partners I was in the throes of ecstasy. You know what I just realized? She probably faked it with JFK. Could you imagine? Oh, Mr. President, yes. Yes. I first realized women were over-embellishing their excitement before I'd ever even had sex. I was flipping through the channels late at night while babysitting once, and I stumbled upon a sex scene on Showtime. I was far too young to be watching it, but of course, I was captivated. The woman was moaning and wailing and making a really big scene, but the man had a very, underwhelming looking penis. That's the nice way of putting it. I hadn't even had sex yet, and I remember thinking, there's no way his penis is that much bigger than a tampon. Why is she making such a big deal about it? Does he have razors on the end of it or something? What was with the theatrics, and why was she trying to make it look like he was hurting her? So strange to me. Well, recently, I watched a YouTube video where they were in the streets interviewing men and asking if a woman had ever faked it with them before. Literally every single guy they interviewed said a very confident no. It wasn't just a no, it was like, I'm sure women fake orgasms, but it's never happened with me. Then they asked women if they'd ever faked it with their partners, and every single one of them said yes. So there's definitely a disconnect somewhere, a gap in communication, which is a nice way of saying that men can be pretty clueless when it comes to us and our pleasure. When I decided to ask my IG fam if they'd ever faked it, only 21% they'd never faked an orgasm before, and 25% said they did it all the time. So then when I was in Los Angeles and hanging out at the skate park, I figured it was the perfect time to chat with some people who were hanging out about what their take was on faking it. And I came up with some pretty hilarious responses. Check it out.
Oh, guess where we are today? We are hanging out at the Venice Beach Skate Park, one of my favorite spots in Los Angeles. I don't know why. I just love the vibe here. Ricky and I are soaking in the sun, and we're on the prowl for some hotties with naughty bodies because we want to have some talks. We want to get the real deal on some serious topics. Okay, we just found these two super babes rollerblading down the promenade. I'm sorry, what is your name?
Kylie.
Kylie and?
I'm Isis.
Kylie and Isis, great names. Now, first of all, the reason why I called you out, Kylie, is because you have these badass lashes on.
Thank you.
And our
I'll get
podcast,
them tomorrow.
okay, but they're beautiful. And our podcast is called Big Lash Energy.
No way!
So I saw you and I was like, this bitch has got some big lash energy over here.
that emoji that's like,
Yes, she is 100% that emoji. Okay, so have you ever faked an orgasm?
oh yeah, a lot of times. Yeah, no, with like my line of work, yeah, high sugar. So
Oh, okay. So you sugar. So when you do that, what is your reason for faking it? See, I knew it. I knew you were the right one to ask.
I know. Honestly, like sometimes I'm just not feeling it. It's not always the size, but it's like the motion of the ocean too, you know. And if like we don't have that sexual chemistry, then
It's just not going to happen.
it's not gonna happen.
And so if it's just not going to happen, why say, hey, it's just not going to happen for me instead of faking it?
Usually I already know he's kind of about to burst, and like it's not that.
So it's to encourage him.
Yeah, and it's not that like it doesn't really feel good, you know what I mean? Because it feels bomb, but like sometimes you just don't get to my climax,
Right.
you know what I mean?
And you don't want it to be like a therapy session after.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm good off that. Like, you know, I don't need to like baby you after. You know?
Yeah, and like massage your ego.
Yeah.
Have you ever faked an orgasm?
Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
Like, okay, let's say you have sex 10 times. Out of 10, how many times do you say you'd fake an orgasm?
I'm really glad.
You can be honest. I mean, we're not fucking, so
Yeah, that's true.
you're not gonna hurt my feelings.
It's like 10 out of 10, man. Yeah.
It's 10 out of 10. Shit, what about you? Solid 9. Oh my.
Encouragement, it's fine. Like there's a balance to how much of the fakey to the encouraged.
Oh, because you don't want to fully reinforce bad behavior.
Exactly.
So you're like, you'll give them a little fake orgasm, not an enthusiastic fake orgasm.
Yeah.
If you continually fake them, how do you expect the guy to learn?
You have to teach them.
You're like, I don't got time for this shit.
No, like I have shit to do.
Have you ever told a guy that you faked it?
Oh no. I very much care about their esteem. But I let them know if I didn't like it.
So if you straight up didn't like it, you let them know. But if you liked it, you'll encourage it with a fake orgasm.
Oh, ouch. No. You're making me look bad. What did I agree to? No.
It's not bad. It's honest. It's real.
I don't know. I'm just like an honest person.
Right? It's a nice girl thing, right? You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. There you go.
If they
See?
did it on their own, then yeah, it's like, and then you tell them, but then if they did it, then you tell them, but this is hard.
Now, the best part about this interview was that there was actually a guy standing directly behind these two women who looked like his mind had been blown. I actually looked over at him at the end and was like, you just learned a lot right then, didn't you? And he was like, yes, I had no idea. He was absolutely clueless that women would fake it so often.
My name is Mark, and I spell it with a C.
Has a woman ever faked an orgasm with you before?
I think so, 100%.
Okay. And what would make you think that that was a thing?
Because she was doing a whole lot of moaning before I was doing a whole lot of with the peak.
So she wasn't a very good actress is what you're saying.
Faking from the start.
But you've had more than one partner, right?
In the past.
So out of all the people you've been with, you just know that there's one.
That stands out, yeah.
The one that stands out, but you think there might be other ones.
Ah, now that's a slim chance.
It's a slim chance, but you're...
Might be others.
Okay.
One for sure, Rick.
Now, the funny thing about Mark with a C is that he was definitely an older gentleman, I would say in his late 60s. And it kind of cracked me up that he'd most likely had a lot of partners, but he could only, out of everyone he'd been with in his whole lifetime, only think of one person who may have faked it. I mean, if the statistics are true, then that means at least 1 in 4 people that he's slept with has not had an actual orgasm. But we'll just let him have it, right? So after my very official and scientific research, I have concluded that there are 4 different types of fake orgasms. All right, get out your notepads, ladies. Introducing Jayna's supercalifragilistic list of fake orgasms. Here we go. I'm going to tell you my 4 fake orgasms. The very first kind of fake orgasm I like to call the borgasm. Let's be real. Life is busy, and sometimes we're spending the last of our energy at the end of a long day for a little naked romp with our partner. Men seem to think that the longer they can go, the better, but unless the sex is earth-shattering and totally worth it, the chances are we're still thinking about the sleep we'd like to get or the things that still need to get done. Enter the borgasm. I mean, really, we could roll around bed all night trying to hack the Rubik's Cube that is my vagina so you can politely finish after, or I could just fake it right now so we can move along with the evening. In other words, move along, buddy. Mama's got shit to do. One of my ultimate pet peeves in the bedroom is when I'm tired, so I'm doing all the things I can to try and get my partner to finish. I'm putting on a show. I'm standing on my head doing whatever it takes, only to hear him say afterwards, oh my God, I could have totally came like 3 times, but I held off. Dude, what the hell? So anyways, yes, sometimes we'll fake it so that he thinks the deed is done so he can finish and we can finally get the F to sleep instead of lying there being bored thinking about all the things we'd rather be doing. The second kind of fake orgasm, I like to call the orgasm. This is the overly enthusiastic fakie to push him over the limit. I remember one night I was with someone for the first time. It was passionate and fun, but he was being far too aggressive with his hands. So everything started to go numb, but he was enjoying himself and I didn't want to kill the mood, so I pulled a Hail Mary. I opted to fake the fuck out of an orgasm. Wow, did I put on a show. My legs were shaking. I arched my back. I was moaning. Girl, I was doing all the things. And of course, my enthusiasm turned him up to the maximum and boom, he finished. It was finished. Thank goodness my poor numb little vagina could get a break. The best part was, as he laid back staring at my ceiling completely out of breath and definitely very proud of himself, he goes, well, one thing's for sure, there's absolutely no way you could have faked that. I smiled a grinchy smile that I was very glad he couldn't see and gave myself an enthusiastic pat on the back for an outstanding performance. In my mind, the curtain was going down, the audience was on their feet throwing roses on the stage. Move over, Meryl Streep, the Oscar is mine. The third kind of fake orgasm, this one I call the no-go. This one doesn't require any theatrics, no convulsions or fake O faces. You just go with the flow, but when he asks you if you came, you simply say yes to avoid the awkward conversation. Sometimes we simply don't want to spend the time immediately after sex counseling our partner on how great they were despite us not finishing or trying to explain what may or may not be wrong with our bodies. The road to Orgasm Town is a narrow, windy one with steep cliffs on either side. Sometimes if you make one wrong move, we're not going to make it there. Also, we know that men are sensitive and we don't want them feeling like less of a man or something just because of one small detail. Actually, now that I think of it, I remember this one relationship I had before I started using the fake orgasm. I was so into the guy. We had amazing sex, but for some reason, I just never came. It was never an issue for us. We never really talked about it, and he didn't seem to care that much at all. But once we broke up, I found out that this shady son of a bitch had been cheating on me with multiple women. And when I talked to one of his best friends about it, he goes, yeah, well, it always really bothered him that he couldn't make you climax. What? I was so confused. If I was still enjoying myself and loving every minute of our time together, why the hell would he care so much? But at the end of the day, it made him feel like less of a man, so he went out and found other women to boost his ego. Now, I'm not making excuses for him, and I'm not calling every man a cheating, insecure slimeball. I'm just trying to point out what can happen to a man's ego despite having lots of fabulous sex. So maybe that's when I learned that it's better to lie about climaxing than to leave him feeling like less of a man. So if he cares enough to ask if I finished, yep, you bet, buddy. I sure did. Bravo. That is the no-go fakie. My last fake orgasm, well, this one I call the cheergasm. Yes, daddy. Sometimes it's clear that your partner tried absolutely everything he could to please you. He played the music, he lit the candles, he licked you all over, he did all the things. And you definitely don't want him thinking that none of it worked because chances are you want him to do it all over again some other time. It's all about the positive reinforcement. So the last thing we want is a man thinking that the massage and bubble bath doesn't do the trick and then never bothering to try it again. Oh, hell no. That's when we use the cheergasm. The The truth is, sure, we could tell our partners what's going on and give them the cheat code to crack into our magic kingdom. You know, like the old AB, up, down, left, right, B. If only it was that easy. And if we're in a long-term relationship, for sure, that's obviously the best move. But some men are so out of touch, so far gone, that we know it's a waste of energy. My all-time favorite is when you're with your guy who did absolutely nothing to pleasure you. No kisses, no nipple licks, your clit's just sitting there forgotten like the last kid picked for dodgeball.
Hello? I'm over here. Anybody want to play with me?
And they'll have the nerve to say to you at the end,
So, did you come?
boy, bye. Once I was talking to a guy who goes,
Well, you women are lucky because you can fake orgasms and we can't.
I wish you could have seen my face when he said that. Bro, you know what would be even better? If we didn't have to? Just saying. I don't want to sound like a bra burner here or anything, but men's orgasms have always been seen as more important than ours because they're necessary for reproduction, whereas a woman's orgasm is simply for pleasure. Once I heard, if a woman had to climax in order to get pregnant, the population would be like 11. And my girl Ricky and I were joking the other day that if you needed to orgasm in order for sex to count, there'd be a lot of people walking around here as 40-year-old virgins. So what's the deal? Why are we faking instead of shaking? Well, only a very small percentage of women climax vaginally. About half of women sometimes have orgasms during intercourse. About 20% very rarely or never have orgasms during intercourse. And about 5% never have orgasms, period. In other words, intercourse, i.e. actual peen in the V, is not the key to most women's sexual satisfaction. But that's what men like to do the most. So I'm not knocking intercourse. It's central to reproductive sex, and it can be obviously very pleasurable. If it's well lubricated and men don't plunge in before the women feel ready, it can be great fun and can also help you to feel more connected. But contrary to what many men believe and see endlessly in porn,
Shoving your penis into a woman's vagina is not the essence of lovemaking.
blah, 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 blah. Anyways, my point is, it's all about the clit. Okay, so I'm going to say this one more time for you to play very loudly over your surround sound speakers for your man to hear, okay? Are you ready? It's all about the clit, the clam hat, the love button, the little bean. This isn't a surprise to us though, right, ladies? So I've watched a little porn, and I actually used to do hair and makeup for porn, something that I'll definitely be talking about in later episodes. And I can't say I've ever watched a porn star focus on a woman's clit. It's all about ramming the crap out of her vagine while she acts like that's the thing that's making her toes curl. Is porn to blame for the reason why men are missing the mark? I definitely think it's part of it. I think the other part is knowing our own bodies and feeling comfortable enough to point out when our partner is missing the target. Sometimes it's also about accepting that wanting to feel good doesn't make you a hoe. It makes you human, and you deserve to feel good too. So for goodness sakes, speak up. Now, you might be saying to yourself, whatever, Jayna, none of this is news to me. I obviously knew all this before. Well, hang on to your panties, my friend, because I'm about to blow your mind. So what did I learn while I was putting together this episode? In my conversations with men, several of them admitted to me that they fake orgasms too. I'm sorry, what? I was so confused. What? Like, how? Do they just squirt the Lubriderm that was sitting beside the nightstand all over her back while letting out a loud moan? I'm so confused. I don't get it at all. One of my guy friends goes, well, you're not the only ones who get bored sometimes or check out mentally, have other things to do, or don't want to hurt someone's feelings. It's actually really easy to fake it, especially if you're wearing a condom. So I asked a few other men, and once they had also told me the same thing, I went to look up the statistics online and found out that apparently 25% of men have admitted to faking it before too. This is a game changer. So while I was researching for this episode, I was wavering back and forth between whether or not a fake orgasm is empowering or cheating yourself out of a good time. But as soon as I learned about the male fakie, my focus changed from should we fake it or not to maybe we all just need to be more comfortable accepting that an orgasm isn't the only indicator of a good time. That maybe we should take the pressure off ourselves and our partners to have to finish and instead realize that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Sure, a climax is amazing. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. And of course, it's always appreciated. But all the stuff leading up to it, the chemistry, the exploration, the tingles, the goosebumps, etc., it can all be magical too. Maybe the best communication between partners is one where we say, hey, I want to connect with you tonight. I plan on doing everything I can to please you, to make your toes curl. And if you happen to orgasm, then that's just an added bonus, because if my focus is your pleasure and satisfaction and your focus is my pleasure and satisfaction, then we're going to have the most enjoyable time ever exploring each other's bodies, regardless of if it ends in an orgasm or not. Sure, a fake can be used to save yourself time, awkward conversations, and a bruised ego, but if we're all doing it, then something else needs to change. I mean, could you imagine if you and your partner were both faking it at the same time? Ew! That's all for me. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as I enjoyed making it. And please, don't fake that you liked it either, okay? I'd love your honest feedback, so please hit me up on Instagram at Big Lash Podcast or Jayna Marie Makeup, and all my contact info can be found at hellojayna.com. That's hello, Jayna.com. If you know someone who might be interested in this episode, could you pretty please share it with them? I heard that every time you share my podcast, an angel gets its wings. It's true. Thank you for being here, and until next time, go be your most fabulous you, and don't forget to spread that badass Big Lash energy everywhere you go. Till next time, mwah!